In this video, the effect of eccentric load analysis on machine component is considered under tensile load. Let us consider a machine element whose length is L and whose cross section is rectangle. V is the width of the cross section and T is the thickness of the rectangular cross section member. On this member, the axis XX and the axis YY, or the centroidal axis, which is passing from the center O of the cross section. The ZZ axis is passing at the intersection of these axis X and axis Y, means this Z axis is passing from O along the length, and here a load P is applying at a distance A from the ZZ axis. So because this load is not passing from the ZZ axis or from the centroidal axis, that's why this load is called as eccentric load, and the distance of this load from the Z axis is A, which is called as eccentricity. So we want to find out the stress at the cross section C and D because of this load P. So the first step is we apply two forces P and P, which are equal and opposite to each other. So because they are equal and opposite to each other, they will nullify the effect of each other, and the effect of this force on this element and the effect of this force system on this element is same. Now here in this figure, this point shows the point of application of this tensile load, and this is on the XX axis. Here in this cross section, if we see, this black point is the point of application of this tensile load P, and here at the center we produces two forces whose value is equal to P and P. Now here if we see that this force and this force, with this upward force which is tensile in nature, and this downward force P, which produces a compression as such, they will form a couple on this member, and the couple value is P into the distance between the force, and this produces a anti-clockwise couple. So because this force and this force, downward force, they will produce a couple whose value is equal to PA, and this is CY, this is a couple about the YY axis whose value is equal to P into A. So this force and this force, they will form a couple. So this is the value of the couple, and the remaining force is P, which is applied at the center. So this is the force P and this is the couple basically. So the effect of this eccentric load is shown in this last figure, third figure. Because of this load, there is a load at the center and there is a anti-clockwise couple along the YY axis, okay, whose value is equal to P into A. So this PA couple will produce a bending effect in this machine element, and if we consider the effect on this fiber along the length, on this side along the cross section, it produces a tensile stress, and on this side, on the left side, okay, along this length, and on this side on the cross section, it produces a compressive stress. So the effect of bending is tensile on the right side, means on the D side, and it's effective compressive on this side. While because of the direct stress, there is a tensile stress produced along the cross section, which is uniformly distributed. This diagram at the bottom of this third figure will show the stress distribution. Because of this vertical load, there is a direct tensile stress, and because it is uniformly distributed, so its height is uniform along the cross section, and this height is sigma t. Because of this anti-clockwise bending moment, a tensile stress is producing on the right side, on this side, and a compressive stress is producing on this side. So this right line will show the bending stress distribution. At the center, the stress is 0, and here on the outermost fiber the stress is maximum and the bending stress having a linear variation. If you want to find out the net value of this stress on the C side, so this is the algebraic difference of direct stress and bending stress, and on the right side if you want to find out, it is the summation of the tensile stress because both are of same nature. So here we add these two value of this stress. So here the net value of this stress is sigma t plus sigma b, and here on this side is the difference of sigma t and sigma b. So let us see how to find out this value of stress with the formula. Here let us see how to find out the tensile and bending stresses. So the bending stress formula is sigma b should be equal to myz, where m is the moment and z is the section modulus. So let us see how to find out this section modulus. So the section modulus is defined as the ratio of I over y, where I is the moment of the area and y is the distance of outermost fiber from the centroidal axis. So here it is a rectangle section whose width is b and thickness is t. Because of this anticlockwise couple whose value is equal to P into A, on this fiber tensile stress is produced and on this fiber compressive stress is produced. So because this fiber is under tension and this fiber is under compression, so we have to find out the value of I about YY axis. So the value of I about YY axis is 1 by 12 TBQ for rectangular cross section, and this Y is the distance of this outermost fiber from the YY axis. So distance of this fiber or this fiber from the centroidal axis is by2. So here we put the value of Y is equal to by2. So we got the section modulus value as TB square divided by 6. And the section modulus is m divided by z, where m is the moment which is couple in this case whose value is equal to P into A divided by z, that is TB square divided by 6. So this value is 6 PA divided by TB square. So this is the value of bending stress, and the tensile stress because of the direct tensile load at the center is equal to load divided by area of cross section, which is uniformly distributed. So this would be equal to P divided by area, here is B into T. So this is P divided by BT, which is uniformly distributed. So we see how to find out the value of bending stress and how to find out the value of the tensile stress. Here the total stress if you want to find out. So this is the third diagram. So because of this moment, the bending stresses produces at the cross section C and D, and this is the distribution of bending stress. Here the stress is compressive in nature on this C side, and here on the D side the stress is tensile in nature. And because of the direct tensile stress is produced, which is uniformly along the cross section. So we want to find out the net value of stress on the C side. It is the algebraic difference of these two stresses. So this sigma C is the net stress on the C side is sigma T minus of the difference sigma B. So this sigma T value is P divided by BT. Okay, difference sigma B stress is 6 P divided by TB square. So if the sigma B value is higher, so we got this net value as negative, and this is compressive in nature at C point or the C side, and the net stress on the D side is, because on this side if we see both are tensile in nature because of direct stress as well as bending stress, so directly we can add these two values. So the net stress on this D side is tensile stress plus bending stress. Tensile stress value is P divided by BT plus 6PA divided by TB square, and this is positive. That's why the net stress on D side is tensile in nature. Now here, instead of tensile load, if a compressive load is applied on the machine element, so what is the nature and the effect of stresses? So here we have again the same member which is having a rectangular cross section. The dimension is B and T, and the z-axis is aligned along the length, and here we apply a compressive load, and this compressive load is also eccentric in nature because it is applied at a distance a from the ZZ axis. So to consider the effect of this force, at the center we apply two forces which are equal and opposite. Here in this diagram it is shown by green color. So this force is acting in the down direction and this force is acting in the up direction. So these two forces are equal and opposite to each other, so they nullify the effect of each other. So again, the first diagram and the second diagram are same, and their effect of the applied load on these two member or on the stresses at C and D is remain same, because these two forces will nullify the effect of each other. This downward force and this upward force, they will produce a clockwise couple whose value is equal to P into A about the YY axis. So here these two forces will produce a clockwise couple, and the remaining force is only this compressive load. So here at the center the remaining load is compressive one as well as one clockwise couple whose value is PA. This clockwise couple about YY axis will produce a compressive stress on this side and on this side along the length, and here on the left side it will produce a tensile stress along the length as well as along this cross section dimension. So if we see the stress distribution, so because of this direct load it is compressive in nature, so a compressive stress is produced which is uniformly around the cross section, and suppose the height of this is sigma t, which is same along the cross section, so it is uniformly distributed and which is compressive in nature. And if you see the bending stress on the C side, the bending stress is tensile in nature, and on the right side the bending stress is compressive in nature, because this side tend to compress and this side tends to expand. So that's why on this side there is a tensile stress and there is a compressive stress. At the center the stress is 0 and it is a linear distribution. So the net effect on this side is the algebraic difference of sigma b and sigma t, and here on this side the net stress is compressive. So directly we add these two values, okay, and there is a net value of this stress at this point, and that is compressive in nature. So the total stress under compressive load is, the net stress on C side is sigma t difference sigma b. Sigma t stress is compressive in nature, that is direct tensile stress, and whose value is P divided by Bt. Because this is compressive in nature, we put here minus sign. Difference sigma b, that is 6Pa divided by Tb square. If this value is higher, so the net value is positive, and if this value is lesser one as compared to direct stress, then this is negative in nature. So this is compressive in nature, and if this value is higher, then this is tensile in nature. Similarly, the net stress at point D is the summation of these two values of the stress, sigma t plus sigma b. Sigma t value is negative, that is minus P divided by Bt. Sigma b value is, I know, also minus, also negative, that is 6 minus 6Pa divided by Tb square. So the net stress at D point is total compressive in nature. Let us consider the effect of shear load acting at the center. So here we have taken a machine element whose length is L, whose cross section is rectangle, the width of the cross section is B, and the thickness is T. So let us consider a force P which is acting on this upper edge, and here if we see the top view, so this load is passing from the x axis. So because this load is passing from the centroidal axis, that's why it is called a load which is acting at the center. It is not a eccentric load basically. So what should be the effect of this force, this shear force, on the stress at point C and D? So to consider this, let us consider that in the second diagram that a load P is acting at the cross section where you want to find out the value of the stresses. The two equal and opposite forces, so this applied forces is developed here, and these two forces are equal and opposite to this applied force P. So the value of these magnitude of these forces are P and P. So they will nullify the effect of each other. So there is no effect. Whatever effect this P force on this cross section or on this machine element, the same effect, okay, this force system have on this element basically. Now this force and this opposite force, these two forces will form the couple, and the sense of the couple is in the clockwise direction. So the only remaining thing is one shear force at the cross section CD and one couple about the y axis, that is Cy should be equal to P into L, because P is the force, parallel forces, and the distance between them is L. That's why this Cy force is P into L. Now let us consider the effect of these shear forces. Because of this shear force, direct shear stress is producing along the cross section. So this blue color line will show the direct shear stress. Okay, and we see that the magnitude of this shear stress is very less. That's why we can neglect this value, and this represents the average shear stress. If we take the actual stress, which is parabolic in nature, so at the end point the shear stress is 0, and at the center the shear stress is maximum. So this is the effect of this shear load, and the effect of this couple is to produce a tensile stress on this fiber and a compressive stress on this fiber, and this will produce the bending effect in the element. So here you see that sigma b is the bending stress at this left fiber on this fiber, and on this fiber there should be, on the right side fiber there should be a compressive stress producing, and at the center the bending stress is 0 and maximum at the outermost fiber. So this red line shows the distribution of the bending stresses, which is compressive at point D and which is tensile at point C. Okay, and the average stress is having very less magnitude, so we can elect that value of the shear stress. And if we take the actual variation, which is parabolic in nature, that is maximum at the center and 0 at the corners. So if we want to find out the stresses at the outermost fiber, it is nothing but the equal to the bending stress, tensile at this C side and compressive at this D side. So here we find the direct shear and bending stresses due to shear load at the center. So the average shear stress we call this tau average, which is equal to load divided by area. The load is P and the area of cross section is BT. So P over BT is the average shear stress, and we see that the value is very small, so we can neglect this value. If we take the actual variation of shear stress, that is parabolic in nature, so we call this T actual, that is T having parabolic variation, and if we see that this value is 0 at the ends and at the center is maximum, that is 1.5 tau into average, where tau average value is P divided by BT. So if we see that at the end point this stress is 0 and at the center it is having maximum, while this average shear stress is very small, and we can neglect it while considering the net value of these stresses at point C and D. So already we have find out the bending stresses, that is sigma b should be equal to m divided by z, where m is the moment and z is the section modulus. So moment here is nothing but the couple about the y axis, that is P into L, and section modulus is again about the y axis here, that is TV square by 6. So the net value of the bending stress is 6PL divided by TV square. The total stress is at point C, the net value of the stress is equal to sigma b, and that is 6PL divided by TV square, and that is tensile in nature, while the net stress at point D is called sigma d, and that is also equal to bending stresses, and that is 6PL divided by TV square, that is compressive in nature. So here let us find the effect of eccentric shear load on stress distribution at the cross section at point C and D. So we have considered a machine element whose length is L and the cross section is rectangle. The width of this cross section is B and the thickness is T. Let a load P is applied at a point, at this point here, this is shown in the diagram, at a distance A from the x-axis axis. Because the load is not passing from the x-axis axis, that's why it is called an eccentric load. So first of all we have to consider this effect. So to consider this effect, what we do, we at the center P apply two forces P and P, which are equal and opposite and parallel to this applied load. So all these value of the force is equal. Now this force and this force, they are parallel to each other and they are apart by a distance a, so they will form a couple, and the value of the couple is P into A, and this is a clockwise couple which is produced by these two forces. So the only remaining thing is this shear load at the center. So the shear load at the center and the couple which is clockwise in direction, whose value is equal to PA, and this couple is about the z axis. So this couple will apply a twisting action inside the bar, because the bar is having a rectangular cross section. That's why we have to consider the torsion effect of a rectangular bar under the torsion, whose value is P equal to P and A. So because of this direct shear load, so direct shear stress is produced if we are taking average value, and again this value is very small, so we can neglect this value. While if we are taking actual distribution which is parabolic in nature, so this is which is maximum at the center and zero at the corner point. So this is the distribution of stress because of the direct shear load P here. Now because of this couple, there is a twisting action, and the twisting action produces a torsional shear stress at the rectangular cross section. So the stress distribution is here in this diagram. The width of this cross section is B and the thickness is T. So here we see that at the centroid the shear stress is 0, and at the mid of the longer side is B here. At the mid of the longer side the shear stress is maximum. So let us see how much is the value of this maximum shear stress. Here we see that how to find out the direct shear and torsional stresses due to eccentric shear load. So it produces direct shear stress, and this average value is load divided by area. So load is P and area is BT. So P divided by BT is the average shear stress, and we see that its value is very small, so we can neglect this value. The actual shear stress, which is parabolic in nature, and this is stress having zero value at the ends, and at the center this value is 1.5 times tau average. Now if we see the torsional shear stress of rectangular cross section because of this twisting action, which is equal to CZ should be equal to P into A. So this torsion value is P into A. This is K1 is a constant which depends upon the ratio B by T, where B is the width and T is the thickness of the cross section. So this is the maximum value of the stress. This maximum value of this stress is T divided by K1 BT square, and we see in the previous diagram that this maximum stress is occur at the mid of the longer side. So we put the value here, we put the value of K1, we put the value of B, we put the value of T, and we put the value of T, and we got the maximum value at the mid of the longer side. And if we see the net value of this stress, so the net value of this stress at the outer fiber is equal to tau s, because this value is 0 at the ends if we take the actual variation, and if we take the average value, this value is very small, so we can neglect this value. So the net value is equal to the torsional shear stress, which is T divided by K1 BT square. Now here if we see that if we applied a inclined load on the machine element, so how we consider the effect of this one. So here this is a machine element whose length is L and the cross section is rectangle, the width is B and the thickness is T. Here at this point we apply inclined load whose value is P, and this load is inclined at an angle of theta with the x axis in the clockwise direction. So let us consider the component of this force here. So there are two components of these forces. One is the vertical component and other is the horizontal component. So this vertical component is PV, whose value is equal to P sin theta, and this horizontal component is PV, whose value is equal to P cos theta. Now this inclined force P can be resolved into two components, vertical as well as horizontal. This vertical, the effect of this vertical force already we have considered in the previous slide. So here because of this at the center we apply two forces, okay, and one produces direct compressive stress and other produces a couple, clockwise couple, and because of this clockwise couple a tensile stress is producing on this fiber and a compressive stress is producing on this fiber. While this PV force, which is horizontal direction, This will produce a shear stress, and this force is applied along the x-axis. So it is a case where we applied a force at the center along the x-axis. This also produces the shear stress at this cross section as well as the bending stress. So here the effect of this bending stress is here at this section it is compressive in nature, and here at this section it is tensile in nature, while the value of the direct shear stress because of this PB load is very small value, so we can neglect this value. And if we take the actual variation because of this PB load, so the actual variation is also having zero value at the ends, and this is maximum at the center. So here we consider the eccentric force analysis through example. So this is a example number 1, which is the case of a hydraulic press frame. So here in this figure a hydraulic press frame is shown to you, and here a load P is applied, and the cross section of this frame is rectangle whose thickness is T and the width is 150. The distance of the load line from the inner side of the frame is 200 mm. So all the dimensions are in mm here. And this frame, if we see from the left side, so this frame contains two vertical frames having equal thickness and identical one. So we have to find out the thickness of this frame because of this load. So because we have the cross section is of 150 into T dimension here, and the load line is here, so the load line is not passing from the cross section, so it is the eccentric loaded case. So first of all we have to see the effect of this force on this one, what kind of stresses or what kind of effect this force produces on this cross section. So let us consider here, this is the load P which is applied here. Because of this load, and this is the cross section, suppose the dimension is B and the thickness is T of this cross section. So because of this load we see the effect of this force here on the cross section. So what we do, we apply two forces which are equal and opposite and parallel to this applied force. So this vertical force and this downward force, they will form a couple whose value is equal to P into E, where E is the eccentricity or the distance between the two forces. The distance between these two forces is from here to here, the distance is 200. This is given here, and the center of this gravity of this rectangle section is half of the width, and the width is 150 here, the half is 75. So total distance of this load from the CG of this cross section here is 275. So that is 200 plus 75 is equal to 275. So this is the eccentricity in this case here, and because of this force it will form a clockwise couple. So here on this cross section, this is width B, this is thickness T, and here this force and this downward force, they will form a clockwise couple. So this is the clockwise couple here, this is the clockwise couple whose value is equal to P into E. E is called the eccentricity in this case, and the only remaining force is the direct tensile stress here on this cross section. There is a direct tensile stress. So because of this direct tensile stress, the tensile stress is produced inside the cross section, and because of this bending, because this bending is clockwise in nature, so clockwise bending stress will produce a compressive stress on the outer fiber here and a tensile stress on the inner fiber. So now we have to find out the value of the bending stress. The bending stress formula is sigma v should be equal to m divided by z, where m is the moment and z is the section modulus. So moment value is P into E, and the value of Z is given here. The value of Z we have to find out about YY axis. This is the YY axis, because about this axis, this left side fiber is in complete tension and this right side fiber is in complete compression. So we have to find the moment about YY axis. Okay? Because on one side the fiber is completely in tensile and on the other side the fiber is in completely compression. So IYY value for this rectangle cross section is 1 by 12 TB cube, and the value of Z is the I over Y, where Y is the distance of the outermost fiber from the YY axis, and this is BY, this is the width B, so this is B by 2 here. So 1 by 12 TB cube divided by B by 2, this is 1 by 6 TB square. So here we put the value of Z, that is 1 by 6 TB square. So this is 6 PE divided by TB square. We put the value of all these parameters here. So this is 6, this is P, and the value of E is 275, that is 200 plus 75 divided by TB square. This is B here, B is equal to 150 in this case. So this is T into 150 whole square. So we compute the value of bending stress. The bending stress sigma B should be equal to 1650 into 10,000, because total load is given as 20 kilonewton. So here we take 10 kilonewton because there are two identical frames. So the load is equally shared on each frame. And divide by T into 150 whole square. When we solve this value, so we got 733.33 divided by T. This stress is in megapascal. Now here if this is the cross section, so this bending effect we have to consider, which is tensile on this fiber, and this is compressive stress on this fiber. And because of this direct load, there should be a direct tensile stress whose value is equal to load divided by area. The area is B into T, so this is 10 kilonewton is the load, and divided by 150 into T is the cross section area of this one, because the value of B is 150 here. We solve this value, it is coming out to be 66.66 divided by T megapascal. Now we have to see that here the stress is totally tensile because of direct load as well as bending, and here the stress is the algebraic difference of direct stress because of direct load and as well as bending. So we have to consider this side only, because in the problem it is given that it is made of plain carbon steel and the value of tensile yield strength is given to us. So we have to take only net stress value on this left side. So the net value of this stress on the left side is, that is sigma T plus sigma B, because sigma T stress is tensile and also sigma B stress is also tensile. So the sigma T stress is 66.66 divided by T megapascal, and the bending stress is 733.3 divided by T. You directly add these two values because these two values are added together, okay, because they are in same nature. So total value is 800 divided by T basically. Now we equate this tensile stress with the working stress. So working stress is computed as yield stress in tension divided by factor of safety. So for the given material, yield stress in tension is 460 divided by factor of safety we assume as 2. So the working stress coming out to be 230 Newton per mm square or 230 megapascal. So we equate this 800 divided by T with the working stress, and we got the value of thickness. The thickness value is coming out to be 3.47 mm. So this way we see that how to consider the effect of eccentric load on this actual design problem. So here we consider the second example, which is a bracket design. This is a bracket, and on this bracket if we see the different dimensions are given here, and the load is applied at this end here. The load is inclined load, which is making an angle 30 degree with the vertical, and the total value of the load is 5 kilonewton. The dimension here is 250 of this center where the load is applied. Is dimension from this frame is 250 here, and the dimension of the center of the cross section from this center of the load is here is 125 mm. All the dimensions are in mm. If you see the cross section of this bracket, the cross section is rectangle whose width is 2t and the thickness is t. The material is FEE 200 whose yield strength is 200 megapascal, and the factor of safety is taken as 4 in this problem. So we have to find out the thickness of the plate. Once we find the thickness of the plate, then we can find out the dimension of the cross section. So this is also because the CG of the cross section is somewhere at a distance at a width of t from this end as well as from this end, and the load is acting at this point. So the load is not passing from the CG of the cross section, that why it is a eccentrically loaded case. And for eccentrically loaded case, again we have to see how we can consider this. So we can take the two component of these forces. Let us see in the next slide how to analyze this force. So this is the actual problem, and we resolve this force at this point. So one component is in the vertical direction and other component is in the horizontal direction. So here we resolve the forces. So there are two components. The vertical component is PV and the horizontal component is PH. The value of the vertical component is 5 cos 35 kilonewton and the horizontal force is 5 sin 30. So we can resolve this 5 kN force, which is acting an angle 30 with the vertical, into two components. One is PV vertical component as well as the horizontal component, and consider the effect of these forces separately. So because of the, first of all, we do the analysis of vertical force. So we assume the vertical force only, which is 5 cos 30. So this is the vertical force 5 cos 30, and this is the cross section. So we have to find out the dimension. So we have to see the effect of this vertical force on the cross section. So again we apply two forces here whose value is equal to PV. So this value is PV acting in the down direction, this is acting in the up direction. Now this PV vertical force and this horizontal force PV, they will form a couple because these two forces are opposite and parallel to each other, and the distance between these two forces is 125. They will form a couple, and the sense of the couple is in the clockwise direction. So if we see the net effect because of this vertical force of 5 cos 30, so there is a tensile stress here because this load is acting in the down direction. So this is tensile in nature here, and there is a clockwise couple. Because of this clockwise couple whose value is PV into 125, so this clockwise couple here on this cross section, a tensile stress is produced, and here on this section a compressive stress is produced. Because of this, a clockwise couple is formed, and when the clockwise couple is formed, so this fiber will be under tension and this fiber will be under compression. So here this stress is tensile and here this stress is compressive. So the net value of this stress at A, because in the problem it is given that yield is strength in tension, so we have to find out the stress on the fiber which is in tension. So here we see that at A side the stress is tensile because of direct load as well as tensile because of bending. So directly we can add them. So the net value of this A side is the summation of these stress because of PV and MV. So bending stress. So the sigma V A, the stress because of vertical component at point A is PV divided by A. This is the direct stress because of this direct load. This is PV and this is the area, and because of the bending, that is M divided by Z here. So this is the value of M, that is PV into 125. The value of Z is 1 by 12 T into B cube. Here B is given as 2T. So this is 2T cube and divided by half of this distance. 2T by 2 is equal to T. So here we divide by T. So this is the value of section modulus. So here this is PV by A plus PV into 125 or divided by T cube. Here we multiplied by 3. So this is PV into 1 upon 2T square plus 375 divided by 2T cube. Here it is multiplied by 2, here it is 3. This is 2 by this. When we solve this value, it is coming out to be 2 by 3. So here it is 2 and here it is 3. So this is 375 divided by 2T cube. Now in this slide we have considered the effect of horizontal force. The horizontal force is PH, whose value is equal to 5 cos sin 30, and because of this force which is acting in the negative x direction, again this is the cross section, we have to see the effect of this force on this cross section. So we do the same procedure here. We apply two forces which are equal and opposite to this forces whose value is equal to PH. So at this point we applied force PH and PH which are equal and opposite, so they will nullify the effects of each other. This force which are acting in the negative x direction and this force which are acting in the positive x direction, they will form a clockwise couple whose value is equal to PH into the distance between these two forces. So the distance between these two forces is 250. So PH into 250 is the clockwise couple which are applied on this cross section. So on this cross section, if we see, there is a PH force which produces direct shear stress inside the member, and because of this couple, this is a clockwise couple. Because this clockwise couple whose values MH should be equal to PH into 250, the bending stresses is produced. If we see the bending stress again, here on this cross section the bending stress is tensile and here the bending stress is compressive. We see here in the previous slide also the value of PH or the value of this shear stress is very small. Okay, that's why we can neglect this value. So this direct shear stress, if we see, because of this PH force is load divided by A, that is PH divided by A. So we assume it as 0 because at the section A and B, due to the parabolic variation, we can say this value is 0, and because of the direct shear stress, its value is very small, so that we can neglect this value. So the net effect on this cross section is because of the bending moment. So the stress at section A, because at section A is under direct tensile stress. So this is sigma HA. Sigma is the stress, H because of horizontal force at point A is moment divided by Z. The value of Z here is 2T cube divided by 3. This is pH into 250. So 2T by cube over 3 will go on the numerator side. So the net value of this section A is tensile in nature, and this is because of bending only, because the shear stress is 0 because of parabolic variation, or because of the average value of the shear stress we assume as very small, so that we can neglect this value. So the net stress should be equal to at A each. At A point, if we want to find out the net stress because of the pH as well as the vertical force, so directly we can add them, because all the stresses are tensile in nature. Because of MH, this is tensile stress. Because of MV, again this is tensile stress. Because of direct load in the previous case, again this is tensile stress. So directly we can add this value. So NVA plus NHA, the stress because of vertical force at point A, the stress because of horizontal force at point A. So PV already we have found in the previous slide, that is PV into 1 upon 2T cube plus 375 divided by 2T cube here, and plus the value of NHA is pH into 375 and divided by 2T cube. We can solve this expression and we can get this value. So this is the value of net value of this stress at point A. Now we put the value of vertical force. The vertical force is 4.33 into 1000. So we take 1000 outside the bracket here, because this force is in kilonewton. So by multiplying it by 1000, we got this value in Newton. Similarly here, this is 2.5 is the value of pH. We multiply this value by 1000, so we take 1000 common outside. We solve this bracket inside it bracket terms, so we got this value 2.16 divided by T square. Okay, multiply this 4.3 divided by 375, we got 811.89 divided by T cube here, and this, when we solve this expression, we got 937.5 divided by T cube, and we multiplied by 1000 outside the bracket. So this is the net value. We add these last two because the denominator is same here. So the net value of stress, tensile stress at point A is 2.16 divided by T square plus 1749.39 divided by T cube multiplied by 1000. We equate this value with the working stress. So working stress is equal to yield stress in tension divided by factor of safety. So yield stress in tension for the given material is 200 here, factor of safety is 4. So this is coming out to be 50 megapascal. So we equate this induced stress because of the loading with the working stress of the material. So we equate these two value here. So this is 1000 into 2.16 divided by T square plus 1749.39 divided by T cube. This should be equal to 50. So we solve this expression. So we got the quadratic equation. When we multiply this on this side and take LCM and all these things, so we got this equation, that is 2.16 into 1000 into T plus 1749.39 into 1000 is equal to 50 T cube. So the final equation is 50 T cube minus 2160 T minus 1749390 is equal to 0. Okay, so when we solve this cubic equation, okay, we got the root as T is equal to 33.14 mm. Okay, so with this value we can find out the value of the width. The width is given as 2T. So we do twice of this value. So this way we can find out the cross-section dimension. So in these examples, we have seen that how to consider the effect of eccentric load on a given cross-section. Either the load is inclined one, or load is parallel to the cross-section, or load is vertical to the cross-section, and see how to analyze them and how to find out the effect of these forces on stresses and how to compute the value of stresses. Thanks for watching this video on eccentric load analysis on machine component. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share and comment. Thank you very much.